Louis Wilson. He's a senior advisor at Global Witness, the group behind this report. Louis, appreciate your time. Why are we seeing so many climate activists being killed? And every year it just seems to get or become even more.
That's correct. 2020 brought on a really toxic combination of factors in a number of countries. Of course, you had the deadly pandemic, which forced people inside, made vulnerable communities more vulnerable. But you also saw a resurgence of extractive industries as certain governments prioritized so-called economic development ahead of the health of the planet and of people. And furthermore, you saw a reduction in civil space, so as journalists and civic groups were also kept at home. So those combination of factors made 2020 the deadliest year on record for land and environmental defenders.
And Louis, what should we be reading into where these murders took place? The three places that we mentioned were Mexico, Colombia, and the Philippines being the worst affected. Why those three countries in particular?
It's a good question. I think one thing we can read into it is that it is truly a global problem. Of course, those three countries spanning the globe, this is something that is affecting communities everywhere. But secondly, I think clearly violence is happening in countries where there is a lack of civic protections for activism and where there is a priority placed on resource extraction. And so that's something that you see common in all of these three countries, a lot of logging, a lot of mining, and where those industries are given priority, you tend to see violence. And that's what we saw last year.
And one of those industries you just mentioned was the logging industry, 23 murders alone linked to that industry. Why is it being, or why rather are activists in this industry being targeted?
Well, I think for similar reasons that any activists who live on a resource that is desired are being murdered and targeted. If they become inconvenient to the interests of either state development in some cases or private industry, eventually pressure manifests and violence ends up happening. You see the same with other types of natural resources, with mining as well, but these things are all interlinked. We as communities depend on the natural world, and when corporations and industries try to destroy it, violence ensues. It's the same with almost every natural property.
Louis Wilson, appreciate your time speaking to us there on the issue of more climate activists being murdered. Thank you.